Hi, this is Landry with Level Trading Field. So, I want to talk about a company called Bakkt, and there's something really odd going on with Bakkt. So they've been making the press lately. They've put out several press releases. The cryptocurrency news wire has picked them up. There's a lot of people talking about them. They've written a couple of blogs as well that's sort of trying to boost their profile as well. And there's something odd. Now, I'm not saying it's fraud, and I'm not saying it's actually even illegal or something wrong. I'm just saying something odd. Now, odd is whatever you define it to be. And my definition is something isn't quite right. And so I want to talk about this company. So Bakkt is actually backed by three companies. ICE, the Intercontinental Exchange, by Microsoft, and by Starbucks. I sort of understand how Microsoft and of course ICE is involved in the company because obviously it's a futures exchange, or it plans to be a future exchange, or at least that's what people think it's going to be. In fact, I'll get to that in a second. But it's not clear to me what Starbucks is doing in there. I mean, is Starbucks just going to like pour like cinnamon sprinkles on the blockchain, or vanilla extract or something? All right, bad joke, but it's still not clear to me what Starbucks is doing back in Bakkt. And I think to an extent, what they're really trying to do is basically have the big players, big industry players, basically come in and say, "Look, we're back in this company," and that sort of gives them some sort of legitimacy. Now, why am I concerned? Why am I even doing this video? First of all, we are also in the cryptocurrency trading space. So now here's my shameless plug. Level Trading Field is a platform, is a financial platform trading, for research, for analytics, and one of the big products that we've put out is the cryptocurrency asset derivative exchange. So what we did was we took Ethereum token, we designed an Ethereum token to replicate the economic benefits of a future. So you can go long or short any one of six cryptocurrencies. So we've designed tokens that essentially behave like futures on Bitcoin, Bitcoin Cash, Litecoin, Ethereum, Monero, and Ripple. So right now you can go long or short Ripple or Monero as my screen goes blank. That's essentially our exchange, by the way. So you can sort of see like the trading tools. We have analytic tools, so that's how we watch the Bitcoin blockchain. So you can see how many transactions have actually gone on in the last 24 hours, and that way you can trade using fundamental and analytics. And so right now, Bitcoin is trading at over $8,000. And meanwhile, the number of transactions, and I'm looking here, number of transactions on the blockchain is about 356,000 transactions over the last 24 hours. So you can use that as a bias. And we also have news, of course, so real time scrolling news. Every 5 seconds, we throw in a news item because we scan the entire web for crypto news. And so that's what we've done, and we've put out a cryptocurrency exchange to essentially trade, like I said, the derivative of Bitcoin. So we're a platform, and being a platform, obviously we're offering multiple tools, but then we're also launching the cannabis exchange. That's pretty much will be doing the same thing. It's going to be a regulated cannabis exchange, and it's going to be called Ox. There you go. All right, so I spent enough time sort of shamelessly plugging a lot of things. So let's talk about the real purpose of this video, and let's talk about Bakkt. So Bakkt, and according to all the media and everything that I've read, it sort of indicated that they were going to set up a cryptocurrency futures exchange, and that's what a lot of the press are talking about. That Microsoft, Starbucks, and ICE are going to put out a futures exchange that's going to basically change the landscape of future. In fact, Bakkt themselves they have something on their website that basically indicates that they will be bringing transparency and trust to digital assets. And in fact, they say it exactly like that, bringing transparency and trust to digital assets. They also talk about building the future of digital infrastructure. And so, what exactly is it they're essentially building? While people think it's going to be a futures exchange, it's not going to be a futures exchange, at least not anytime soon. So I did some investigation and I went to the CFTC's website where you can check to see how many companies or the companies that have actually applied for regulation to become an exchange. And Bakkt is nowhere to be found on the CFTC's website. Nothing. The CFTC, they list all pending applications, they list all approved applications, they list even the vacated. So if you had an exchange and you basically quit, you gave up and you moved on to doing something else, maybe, I don't know, serving coffee or something, then they'll list your company as vacated, and there's no sign of backs anywhere there at all. So clearly they're not planning on being an exchange in the immediate future. They did send out a press release last year that sort of indicated that they'll be launching early this year, but that's definitely not going to be the case. But what I'm beginning to understand with Bakkt is it's most likely going to be the ICE, the Intercontinental Exchange platform, and it's going to be under their license. And so it's not a separate futures exchange. It's pretty much ICE, and it's pretty much just another contract on ICE. So now, if that's the case, why didn't ICE launch last year, right? Why go through all this gymnastics just to launch a Bitcoin future? Now, the difference between ICE's contract versus the CME or CBO contract is theirs will be physically settled. So you will get the Bitcoin future or whatever other digital assets they decide to list. You get a physical copy of well, not physical, but you get the Bitcoin on the line as opposed to a cash settled product. Um, and so they say they're not going to go through the self certification necessarily, although they might. And so for a company that's bringing transparency, there's really not a whole lot of transparency into their process. So they obviously don't want to bring transparency into the Bitcoin or the digital assets trading while creating all this opaque, I guess, mask on their company. And so now they haven't applied for a DCM, so they're not going to be a DCM. What in fact I think Bakkt will be, and it's more than what I think. That's pretty much what ICE, when ICE puts out news on Bakkt, it sort of refer to them as a warehouse, as a warehouse for digital assets. So what Bakkt will end up being is when it's time to settle the physical settled Bitcoin or whatever contracts, digital asset contracts they're going to be putting out, then Bakkt would warehouse that contract. So I guess they'll hold on to the USB key, that's the cold wallet, and transfer from the seller to the buyer. And that's pretty much all they will be doing. So they're not going to be a futures exchange, it's going to be ICE. It's going to be under ICE's license. Um, and then now the other aspect to Bakkt is they've raised a lot of money, right? No one's quite sure how much they've raised. There's been speculations from the low nine digits to $700 million, right? Now, if ICE already has an exchange and Bakkt is just purely a USB key, a cold storage wallet, it's a ledger wallet essentially, then what do they need $700 million for, right? We're running our exchange for nothing close to that. In fact, a couple of commas missing from the cost of running our exchange, and ours is pretty much the best interface you will ever get of any exchange that exists in the world, bar none. And that's not even a shameless plug. That's just a fact. So it's not clear to me what exactly they're going to be spending all that cash for. What I think, and here's my opinion, and take it for what it means, is ICE basically didn't want to come out directly and say, look, we are also launching a Bitcoin or a cryptocurrency asset trading platform. And so they brought um, Microsoft and they brought Starbucks together and said, look, we're partnering with these guys and we're doing a joint venture that's going to be doing Bitcoin trading or cryptocurrency assets trading. It's only Bitcoin they've mentioned for now, so that's why I just keep saying Bitcoin. But in fact, it's really ICE's platform, and um, they don't want to directly come out and say, "Look, by the way, we're doing a Me Too style thing with copying essentially the CME." The SIBO is they've basically given up on cryptocurrency, so technically they're not doing anything the SIBO is doing. So that's all I have to say for now. Hopefully, over the coming months, there'll be some clarity. They did say they will be launching back towards the end of this year. It's not clear to me how long it takes to launch a warehouse, really, but that's what they're saying. But anyway, till they launch, we're alive. We're alive right now. So if you really want to go long or short, uh, Bitcoin, Bitcoin Cash, Ethereum, Litecoin, Monero, Ripple, ours is purely cash settled. So if you want to go long or short, then hey, come trade on level trading field. All right.